The Eastern Cape province of South Africa is synonymous with automobiles. With a highly skilled workforce, cutting-edge research and development facilities, top-notch institutions of higher education, and a dense automotive supply chain, the Eastern Cape is Africa's automotive center. The Eastern Cape is the largest exporter of vehicles in South Africa and its largest production hub. 6 original equipment manufacturers and numerous multinationals have headquarters or plants in the Eastern Cape. 3 ports, including a deep water port, ensure logistical efficiency for the automotive sector. 2 special economic zones offer world-class infrastructure, tax incentives, rebates and a duty-free zone, purpose-built for manufacturing of export goods. The region's automotive sector employs more than 30,000 people, including engineers and advanced manufacturing experts. The Eastern Cape invites partnerships. Contact us for support around incentives and information for investment, or for advice concerning potential partnerships or agreements with any industry role player, including part manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, e-mobility, and part distribution or procurement. The Automotive Industry Development Center, your partner in becoming globally competitive.
Will you please finding your seats so that we can continue with the program. We trust you had a good lunch. This is typically the rough session. Everyone's wanting to have a siesta, but hopefully with our engagements and activities that we have for the rest of the program, that will keep you entertained. Maybe just to give insight before we continue any further, as I mentioned earlier, that when you arrived and you registered at the front desk, you received two tags. One was for you to keep and retain, and the other was to put into one of these jars in front. There have been 3 prizes that have been sponsored by ABSA for this event. The first place prize is a cash prize of 30,000 Rand with the bespoke business development services of 15,000 Rand. The second place prize is a cash prize of 20,000 Rand and bespoke business development support of 15,000. And the third place is a cash prize of 10,000 Rand with bespoke development business support of 15,000 Rand value. So they're quite significant, and I hope that you stick around till we get to the presentation of those prizes. Colleagues, we do expect for the Premier and the MEC to be joining us quite soon, so we're very privileged to have them attend our event. But for us to maybe move the program forward, our next panel is focused around how to build a franchise and a business brand. We understand that at times a business gets to a point where marketing and branding and positioning in the market becomes quite critical. The challenge is that sometimes we're so technical, doing branding and marketing and positioning in the market is something that's very complex, but that's critical to attraction of customers and consumers and being able to build your business further. So hence the reason why we put this panel together. Our previous panel was quite exhaustive in the topics and the themes that were covered. So I hope that and trust that this panel will also add value to your business and be also able to create a connection between those that are on the panel and your business, and be able to facilitate a relationship and a networking partnership that could see your business move forward. So, so maybe what I'll start with is allowing each of the panelists to introduce themselves and their businesses, and then we can go into an engagement and discussion session. Let me start with Mr. Madiba on that side. If you can start, thank you.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible enough. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ukaya Madiba. I am the sole director of Gearing Engineering and Gearing CNC Plasma Cut. We do engineering and manufacturing of machinery, but in the automotive space, we do build machinery that makes components for vehicles in the OEM industry and also in the aftermarket. We help a lot of SMMEs. If you've got a head that's cracked made out of aluminium, we are able to weld it up for you. We do aluminium gaskets as well, and we also are able to reinstate threads on some of the shafts and things that may be required.
Good day, everyone. My name is Titus Tejwayo. I'm the sole director of K Auto and Logistics. We do mechanical work. We do logistics and warehousing. And recently, we're also doing franchising of the business as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Leah Mudley, and today I am representing the Kucha Development Corporation. Now, as a public entity, we are mandated to develop and operate the Kucha Special Economic Zone located in the Eastern Cape. And as an organization, we place a very high premium on branding and marketing, and that's because our organization has expanded to provide various services, including infrastructure development, project management, consulting services, to contribute to revenue generation. A very innovative approach as a public entity to add to our financial sustainability. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Njebo Chu, owner, director, senior tech at Ikaka Trading and Projects. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Maybe if we can start with the first question that I do have is particularly the business owners. And then Leah, I will have a follow-up question from that. The fact of starting a business is incredibly demanding. There's a lot of sacrifice made, there's a lot of investment and time made, a lot of risk taken to get a business to be even just from a micro to a small. To move from stage to stage requires a lot of effort and energy. As business owners, what have you done strategically that has allowed you to shift from one phase to the next? If we had to specifically focus around your branding, your marketing, and your positioning in the industry itself.
Well, that's a difficult one. When it comes to our business, some of us didn't have the privilege of being able to do a lot of marketing. Most of the marketing is done by word of mouth. The only thing that we put in the business is more like finance-wise.
Okay. Thank you, Ron. With my business, I must admit it has not been an easy journey. When you open a business, especially nowadays, you open a business with the intention of getting some form of funding from some organization that will pass out some form of funds or some form of development. I'll be frank, with my business, I started my business with a toolbox I bought when I got my first stipend as a appy. And I started fixing vehicles behind my yard at the back. And if the gentleman from Salga was here, he would actually relate to me as a disruptor. And I built the business from my backyard, whereas I would come back from work, I'd have a few vehicles that I'd have to fix, started saving up money from there, and over weekends, I'd start having more clients through word of mouth, up to a point where the business I could see was sustainable, and I could afford to rent premises. So I took a risk and rented premises from town. And that was also a difficult position as well, because the existing clientele that I had, they were not forthcoming at the period I was operating the business, so I had to start from scratch. So in my line of work, I ran a mechanical workshop, so that was my basis point of running the business. So you get your ups and downs in the business as well, like any other business. So with that said, you invest a lot into the business. If you make a 20,000 Rand daily, you don't look at the 20,000 Rand and say, in the next 20 days, I will have 400,000. You reinvest that 20,000 Rand for your business to be able to sustain itself and also be able to buy spares, because in some instances you get clients that require you to buy the spares beforehand, and it's quite embarrassing for you to be able to ask a client to buy the spares, then you only charge the labor. So that's how I went about growing my business. And also I started investing in real estate from a very young age, so I used some of that money to plow back into the business so that the business can be sustainable and I don't have to have dry months and not be able to pay salaries and therefore. So with the marketing structure as well, I used Facebook as a basis point for my marketing and word of mouth, of course. But the traditional remedy of using flyers and business cards, etc., I also tried that. But my best bet was Facebook and social media that attracted a lot of customers through to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowan. If I can break it down into steps on the approach that I followed, I think the key thing is defining your brand. Get to know what is it your brand, what is it that you are offering that is different from your competitor next door? What sets you apart? Because in the aftermarket automotive space, everyone who's in the space can be able to fix cars, panel beating, etc. But what is it that you offer that's different from the person next door? So define your brand. Know your audience. Who's your target market? You got to be very, very, very specific on who specifically when you're kicking off, especially if you're kicking off. Who is your targeted audience so that you know exactly who you're looking for? Make sure you build a strong online presence. That's the third point. Using Facebook. I mean, if you've got a cell phone that has WhatsApp, you are capable of having a profile on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok lately, but build a presence where you know your audience could be there and you can be able to get to them. So make sure you have an online presence. And a website. I mean, I taught myself how to build a website in a day by using YouTube. It cost me 49 Rand a month with AfriHost to have a website and to have emails up to 50 different types of emails I can run. So it's not necessarily expensive, but it's all about making sure that you have an online presence. Deliver consistent. Be consistent in what you do. If you're going to be delivering a service and you wake up one day and you feel like, I'm not in the mood, remember that might come out into your business. So you got to be consistent. And I think the one thing was engaging my audience. It's very important to know your audience, know your customers, engage them. Talk to them regularly. Ask them, listen, I did this job for you. What's your feedback? Where did I go wrong? What can I improve? Oh, no, you didn't call me to tell me you were done. Okay, next time I must make sure that I call you when I'm done. So those steps always assist and help in marketing your business. And the last one, which is critical, is you've got to monitor and adapt to your audience and your customer and the industry that you're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Leah, maybe as a follow-on, from your experience at Kucha with respect to businesses, particularly in the auto space, if you do have reference to that, is their journey from applying the principles that Kai mentioned, and what are you seeing as challenges for them to get themselves out into the market?
Thanks for the question. I'll tailor it a bit to our experiences as an organization at Kucha. While we are an automotive hub, the SMME base that we deal with is primarily in the construction sector. But what I can say is that my colleague summed it up quite nicely. And he gave a very balanced overview of what you should strive to achieve. And perhaps one of the main challenges that SMMEs face is that you're working so hard and you're so focused on the technical aspects of your business that you lose sight of the soft skill requirements in terms of building a client base, building a brand image. We've spoken about OHS compliance, we've spoken about accreditation, and it's so important to build that into your brand. When you're marketing your brand, use those accreditations, use those compliance checks to amplify and enhance your brand image. Say, I am accredited, I am registered on the CSD database, I am an approved supplier. All of this contributes to building your brand, expanding, and being considered by prospective or future entrepreneurs to say, I want to buy into that business. That business looks like it's working. So I'd say that that's pretty good advice for businesses looking to expand.
Thank you very much. I think maybe the next question that I have, Titus, you mentioned something interesting with respect to reinvestment back into your business, but also alternative mechanisms around creating long-term sustainability of your business and, in a sense, building a balance sheet, which is possibly something that the banks are looking for. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey on that?
Oh, okay, thank you. In any business, I always treat my businesses like the 4 seasons of the year. You get situations where your business is pumping and business is doing well. The foot traffic, it's complementary to what you want. And you get months where things go dry and you don't understand where you did wrong or where it went wrong. So I opened my business in 2017 officially. And within the first year, my business grew substantially. And in 2018, there was a period of about 2.5 months where business just went quiet. And remember, at this stage, I had built up reserves for a rainy day. So I ended up using the reserves. And it brought back an idea that, instead of focusing on one business, I need to have my hands all over the show. Not in a way that is disruptive to the primary business, but in a way that complements the primary business. So what I did is I started investing in real estate and started having tenants and started bringing money in. And I'd use that money to buy more tools and to have my own stock of spares, because in this business, in the automotive business, if you get proper spares at the right price, you can at least make a good markup out of the end product that you're producing to the client. So I then went on and started a towing company, because I noticed in my business that whenever I had a client that needed a vehicle to be towed into my workshop, I'd actually have to pay a third-party business for them to be able to just pick up the vehicle and bring it to me. And whether the client was going to end up fixing the vehicle by me or not, I was still liable to the towing company to pay him, even though I was going to claim that back from the client. So I started with a trailer. I bought myself a trailer, which cost me quite a lot of money. Then I started the towing business. That went very well. And then I went into logistics. I started buying trucks. And after I moved out of the premises I was renting, I acquired land with the reserves that I had, and I bought myself my own land, because the money that I was paying the landlord was quite a lot. And the guy was in Australia, and I was just making him richer. And in the business, when you are renting, when you do your business maths, you first have to work for your salaries and your rental. Then you pay yourself. So I saw that money that I was paying to the landlord, and I was like, no, this cannot carry on. I was there for 4 years, and I built my own state-of-the-art facility, and it cost me quite a lot, but fortunately, I also used reserves because I didn't have to go to the bank to open up a loan account or whatever. So I built that from the reserves that I had. So from there, I built next to the soft drink company called Twizzler, and I noticed that they've got quite a number of trucks. And this was a potential client to me because I'm right next door. So I was very inquisitive. I went to them and I found out that they didn't have a sole provider to do mechanical and maintenance on their vehicles. So to cut a long story short, I ended up having a deal with them and I signed an SLA with them where I ended up getting all their vehicles nationally to do business with them. So they've got 3 plants in the country. So that ended up pushing me to another scale of my business because I was a small business. So now I had to make sure that I had enough reserves because this was a huge contract. So I worked with them, and remember they also own the dairy company called Crickley. So that came with the package as well because I also do their fleet maintenance of their trucks and their trailers. So with all this new revenue that came through, it was just too much for me. So I asked myself what it is that I can do to supplement the primary business, which is the mechanical workshop. So I saw an opportunity in logistics and I opened up a logistic company, started with 1 truck, and now I'm on 15. And I'm doing all the loads for them on their behalf. And I'm still doing mechanical work and fleet maintenance for their business. So that's why I would say having a second pot, you know, as a source of income is important in this business for you to be able to sustain yourself.
All from a toolbox. Yeah, I think that does deserve applause. I think, Kai, you've got a different story because you bought a business.
Yes.
And you bought into it. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and where you find yourself now?
Sure. So Gearing Engineering was started in 1994 by Mr. Albert Gearing, and I think it was around COVID. He decided he wanted to retire, and I convinced him to, instead of closing down the business because of the staff complement of approximately 30 of employees, I convinced him to let me purchase the business from him. Since then, coming into a business that was very manual, there was a lot of money that was just flowing sideways and quality was not being monitored. Took over the business, very key to focus on the quality. My colleagues mentioned, you know, your certifications are important. We are one of the few ISO 9001 certified companies in the work that we do. We've upgraded our accounting systems. We are busy with our ISO 3834 certification, and we are now operating in the automotive space. One of the hardest challenges we've had is taking over a previously white-owned company, and now I'm a black person coming in and finding work. Nice thing about it is the South Africa we live in, it's all about who you are and how you present yourself. I've managed to retain a lot of the companies that he used to work with, and I've brought on a lot more companies on board. We have, as of last week, we are now registered with West Bank under RT46, even though it took 2 years. And we are currently in the process of preparing to open up a branch in Butterworth. When I say as a brand, you've got to monitor who your customers are and have a conversation with them. We have a number, over 150 customers coming from the former Transkei, who would spend an average of 600 Rand, 800 Rand on fuel to get to us to spend 1,000 Rand or 2,000 Rand on whatever we need to repair for them. Some of them come to us, I need a trailer to carry glasses so that we can stockpile them and I sell this glass. And now we've drafted a proposal for the gentleman to say, look, how about we also build you the machine to crush the glass? And also introduce to him that with the whole world going green, crushed glass is now replacing sand. So now you can sell crushed glass to the construction industry, and that can be a revenue for you. So over the years, we've managed to look into different avenues. I think my colleague here mentioned it very well. as a company, focus on what you are trying to build initially, but it is important to look at what is around you, what industry is around you, what service, what problem can you solve? Because all of us sitting here, and majority of the people in the audience, we are all solving a problem for someone, and that's how we make our money. And what's key is, to focus, never give up. It's not easy. We look for money, you get rejected, you send in applications, they tell you they'll come back, 6 months later, you're still waiting. Get up, follow up. Annoy them, knock on their door consistently. I could tell you of many different customers that we've been knocking on doors for years, and only now we got the first business. So we are extremely proud of where we are now as a business, and we are trying to grow. And I'm hoping that after today, please do pass by the stand, that we are able to work amongst each other, because what Albert was able to do for his friends and colleagues and people that he knew for 30 years is my plan to do for previously disadvantaged individuals for the next 30 years. Thanks.
Mpunda, can you share your history and your journey with us?
It's quite a small one. I feel like a small fish in this pond. I'm sitting with the big guys here. I'm inspired. Mine is very short because by 2008, I resigned at the company that I was working for. Tried to open a shop, that didn't move. So I had to close it, go back to work for this other company. And then I had to resign also again from that one, because I have this dream of owning my own, or building a franchise rather, instead of buying one. 2023, end of 2022, I went solo, opened my own shop, which is still young. It's a difficult journey. It's not easy, and startup is actually capital intense. Buying diagnostic machines are not cheap. Maintaining them, software updates. Also, if you have to keep up now, we're moving to electric cars, hybrid cars. Those are not going to be cheap to maintain. You will need to have an electrical vehicle charger. It's expensive. So we're still growing, so we'll definitely need support from agencies like AIDC, from the government. If they can only cut the red tapes. We've got companies that we have to subscribe to, like your RMIs, which basically do nothing for us. You just pay. But they don't they don't give you work to say, okay, go see this aftermarket plan company. They will give you work, but you just pay every month. And then there's also like your West Bank, RT46. That is a nightmare. One would think government vehicles don't break down, or maybe government doesn't have fleet at all, because workshops are empty, everyone's crying. But we here, we'll soldier on, try to be like my big guys here. Thank you.
RT46.
Leah, maybe from Kucha's side, I know it's construction focused, but your SMMEs have a very unique characteristic in the sense of that you've got a blend of women and men in that space. And there's a lot of challenges to deal with in the construction space. It's highly competitive. How do these companies stay afloat, and how do they keep the value of their business sustained? Especially now, having come out of a very difficult economic climate now, we're probably looking at a little bit of a better climate as we're moving forward. But how has Kucha found those companies able to survive, especially in the last 2 to 3 years?
Thanks for the question. I think we can all take the cue from my colleagues on stage here, in a sense that they've really done a good job at keeping their businesses visible. Like you've mentioned, we've come out of quite a tough economic climate, aftermath of COVID-19, and related aspects. And I think that was a gift in disguise in a sense that it gave individuals a sense of the importance that they should be placing on their digital and online presence. And the gentleman in the audience with the check shirt, he asked about pillars and whether, SMMEs could generate revenue from advertising other businesses. But I'd like to encourage all small businesses to look for pillars of their own, to advertise their businesses. Think of where your target audiences are. Advertise your businesses in those places. For businesses in the aftermarket space, I can draw a case study from Kucha, not exactly aftermarket, but one of our previous apprentices from our training programs. He went through our driver training program and he now runs his own driving school. And if you look at his marketing, it's impeccable. When it comes to cars, so many people own vehicles. These vehicles are the center of their economic participation in terms of how they get from point A to point B, how they deliver their supplies, how they commute to work. These vehicles are important and people want to know they're taken care of when they are in the hands of a service provider. So you need to let them know that you are reliable, you are an expert in your field, you provide a quality service. And this is all part and parcel of your marketing message, your brand identity. Marden's Driving Academy is the case study I'm referring to. He has WhatsApp for Business. And again, these things aren't expensive. You hop onto YouTube, how do I optimize WhatsApp for Business? How do I develop my social presence for online touchpoints? One small example I can give. If you have a LinkedIn profile for your business versus your Facebook profile, use your Facebook profile to draw in clientele. Use your LinkedIn profile to focus on B2B, focus on reputation management, focus on potential talent attraction. Become an employer of choice. No business is too small for that. So look at your touch points. Think about how you can be more visible and how you can differentiate your messaging across those touch points as a small business. And I think that's how you survive in tougher climates.
Thank you. My last question to the business owners. All three of you have mentioned aspirations of particularly supporting the forward agenda of our province and our country with respect to developing and supporting the future business owners and seeing a future that typically can be very, we don't typically speak about it often enough. Can I ask you maybe to share what vision you have and what you see for the future of the aftermarket space, but possibly even for our province moving forward and for your business community moving forward? Maybe if I can start with you, Titus.
Okay, thank you. From my side, it's quite a number of things that I would like to see possible in the future. Starting with our community-based responsibilities as businesses. And also looking at the upcoming artisans from FET colleges. And also the relationship between the private sector and government. We have a lot of good stories to tell as business owners. And unfortunately, I come from a municipality that's always in the news for the wrong reasons, but we don't always celebrate the winnings of my municipality. And my business is where it is because if it wasn't for the municipality granting me the land that I got, I don't think my growth in my business would be where I am right now. And thank you. Queenstown is a to me, it's the hub of Krisani municipality. You know, the businesses in and around Queenstown, you know, it's ideally placed on the N6 on your way from Bloemfontein, from East London towards Bloemfontein. You know, when you're going past Elliot Town to PE, you go past Queenstown. So I looked at that. I had plenty of opportunities to start my business somewhere else. But, you know, where Queenstown is, we've got a lot of potential from Queenstown. And there's a sector also that we always tend to forget about, which is Department of Correctional Services. I'm going to touch on a topic that no one tends to talk about. I'm a qualified assessor for Mesita, by the way. And my passion is to, on the land that was given to me by the municipality in Queenstown, to build a training center. And to also be able to go to each and every correctional facility and provide on-site training to the ex-offenders. I'll call them ex-offenders because they've done the time. And that would also give them an opportunity when they come out to be able to integrate into the community. Remember, this person is coming out for a mistake that they did. They paid their time. Now, wherever they go looking for a job, the criminal record pops up. And not everyone wants to hire an ex-convict. But however, if this person is equipped with skills, whereas this person can be able to come out, open up a business, and trade legally. I'm not talking about your pavement mechanics, because that's another challenge that we are facing as mechanics. You know, have that person also participate in the economy. You know, feed his children so that we keep those people busy so that they don't go back to the crimes or the space that got them in trouble in the first place. That would be my vision in this business. And also to have more mentorship programs. You know, I always say to the departments, my business is open to students. I don't have a problem. You can bring me students any time of the year. I have a lot of time on my hands. I can train them. I've got all the necessary knowledge and notes for me to be able to, you know, give them basic knowledge. Then as time goes by, I can go in depth with them and do practicals as well. I've got enough space in my workshop. And what I've noticed with our youth, they'd rather come to your workshop, being placed there by the FET college, and they'll sit in the corner, they'll ask for the Wi-Fi password. That's the first thing they ask for. Forgetting what it is that they were brought to our businesses for. And we as a province, you know, after matric, I moved to Joburg. But I didn't enjoy it. I came back and opened my business. And I did that for a reason, because as the so-called impoverished province, we have more to offer. And this is a province that's got a lot of money. And people in the province spend in this province. And if we don't take that with both hands and empower each other by pushing and supporting each other's businesses, even if it's advice. Advice doesn't cost money. And don't be shy when you see me and you want to find out how it is that I made it to where I am. You know, asking is not a sin. And, you know, I won't feel as if I'm giving you secrets, now you're going to be better than me. That's not how businesses work. It's about empowering each other. So that would be my vision, for all businesses to support each other. For instance, I can share it right now with you guys. I met this man for the first time today, but he already has a solution for my business, because I'm using an out-of-province business that is costing me a lot of money. By virtue of having met him here, I'm going to be doing business with him from next week onwards.
Wow.
Mfundo? Like I said, I have a bigger vision, which might seem impossible to own a franchise or to start a franchise, so to speak. Understanding the aftermarket, automotive aftermarket sector, it's quite a huge sector. I think one of the main reasons there is that such a sector is to lessen the cost burden on the customers so that we can keep their cars on the road. Mine is to say, as you can see, that Mr. Premier is here. Mr. Premier, please do support Mr. Shenwan and his team. They're passionate about the aftermarket sector. They need funding. We need funding. With that being said, and also thanks, Mr. Premier, I've got like 3 apprentices at the shop from the Office of the Premier that I'm training as a mentor. As the lady has said previously, or many a times rather, in this panel, that she spoke about soft skills. I think most, or some if not most, including me, we lack a lot of soft skills, such as marketing, admin, and all of that. But we're growing. We're going to learn. We're going to push on for better growth, so to speak. Thank you.
Kaya, I would love to give you time, but I'm actually cut out of time, if that's okay. Will you allow me to? Thank you. Colleagues, I think if this country was left to these people on the stage, I think we've got a great future. And I think the hope that they share and the vision that they share for our future as a province and as a country gives me encouragement. It almost feels like it makes me want to go start my own business now, you know, and get mentored by these 3 people, call them my brains trust and advisories service. But it's very inspirational, but it is a reflection of a lot of the challenges and the hope that a lot of us sitting in this room carry. Thank you very much, panelists, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Questions? All right. We're privileged to have our MEC and our Premier here today. And I'd like to hand over to our chairperson. We will continue the Q&A session, if that's okay, after the speeches, if that's okay. Thank you. We'll hand over to the AIDC chairperson, Mr. Zutumani. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Mine is just a brief one, is to welcome the Honorable Premier Oscar Lubabalo Mabuyane. He is the Premier, just in case you don't know where you are. We have people from across the land. We are in the Eastern Cape, so he's the Premier of this province. Premier, I'm sure last year we had the mentioning or the introduction of the concept of the ambassador of the automotive industry. I think you were present in that event, if I'm not mistaken. That was during the AGM of VW. No. It was the AGM of NAMSA, but held in the VW plant. And I suspect strongly that there's a huge contestation for that position, which was awarded to someone else because the Premier is so very supportive of the automotive sector. He has been to the national events representing this province. As a result, we are known to be the leaders, and of course we are the leaders of the automotive industry in Africa. Of course, we are leading in Africa for a long time. I think we've just been surpassed by another country that I'm not going to mention. We welcome you, Honorable Premier, to this event, and we appreciate your presence and the time that you've taken from your busy schedule. We also welcome the Honorable MEC for the Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism in the Eastern Cape, Umama Nkubela Peters. We welcome you, Honorable MEC, emcimbini wakho, because we are an entity of government and therefore we report to her office. The event, Honorable Premier, is about the Automotive Aftermarket and Franchise Development Expo and Business to Business Indaba. As you were moving in, I'm sure you have heard Utaitas offering Ukaya e-business. That's business to business. And they're meeting here for the first time. So the purpose of this event is to foster connections, knowledge sharing, and business opportunities within the Eastern Cape automotive sector. So we are here exactly for that, and fortunately, you have heard it for yourselves. I must say, Premier, the purpose of AITC, as per the mandate, is to support medium, small, and micro enterprises in the auto sector to access finance and markets. We are doing just that. This is about aftermarket. Yabona ke ibiqale ekseni, Honorable Premier. Nawe MEC siqhubile silapha ke ngoku. My only prayer is that as I step off, kungathiwa ndine experience apho we started a meeting, EDG, or former head of department, ngelo xesha, was not there. Still remember, babengapha kula mhlaba wakho. Ufika kwakhe uDG wathi, niyaqhuba. Everything has been nullified. If you did pray, that's the only thing that I'm not going to nullify. Sayiqala ukuqaleni meeting. I hope uzothi Premier must be eqala ukuqaleni, but ke sisiqhubile, and we really appreciate your presence. We did tell them, Premier, that amongst other things that we are doing, we are implementing the commitment that you made to the people of the Eastern Cape about the auto sector. We are doing just that. And of course, we have had this Carlo up as RT46. I know about Premier Zotilsana. I'm not sure the arrangement is Honorable MEC Indaba Stelewe now introduce the Premier. Takafuni. Okay. Honorable Premier, let's welcome you to the podium, and thank you very much for coming.
Good day, sir. Good. Thanks.
Dear. Okay.
So the unfortunate part about me is that I'm the ever-ready Power Plus. So that's how I thought we should, all of us, behave if we wanted to change the socio-economic outlook of our province. I've just heard about this event today. No one even whispered to me. I heard it from MEC when she was telling me about her day. So after this event that we are together in, she's going somewhere. Ndathula. Ndazixelela apha kum ngaphakathi uba ndiyahamba. Ndimenywe noba ndingamenywanga. So wabe sendimema uba masiye kuba ndithe kuye into yam niyenza njani ngaphandle kwam. You see, Program Director, I'm greeting you. I'm greeting the MEC. I'm greeting the chairperson of the board of directors, the AIDC and the entire board here, the CEO, the MSME. That's a new terminology now that we have. That is commonly referred to as the SMMEs. All speakers and the panel members, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So in the last an hour or so, I had to develop a speech because since I became a premier, I was told that I also would so from there to here, it was enough for me to have a speech, Chairman, because I needed this. For me, I appreciate the initiative, but for me, it's long overdue. I'm this kind of a person who says something today, who expects an action tomorrow, and I'm so impossible. I've listened to everybody speaking there to say, yo, Premier, get WhatsApp, because I don't have to respond to you via PA. If you send a message to me, I must respond to you. And I must find solution for whatever that you are saying. Thanks, MEC and AIDC, for this initiative. Nevertheless, I really appreciated the few minutes you are giving me. I know I had a commitment at 3, But I thought this one is more important than the one that is there. They can wait for me, those other ones. I said, let me come here. It was kulapho kufele khona inkomo. Kulaa ndawo ndiya kuyo kulapho kufele khona ithole. Inkomo ifele apha. So I had to come here to make sure that I'm joining you, colleagues. For me, this event signifies the crucial step forward in our collective journey to revitalize and grow the automotive industry in the Eastern Cape. Today, earlier on this morning, I had an experience of driving an EV. An EV, a fully fledged EV, not a hybrid, electric vehicle. When you are inside it, you can't hear the engine, you just move. When you start it, you can't hear it. I drove it around the area of Vincent because today we were launching what you see as you move up to Bishop. There's a development that is taking place there of a Shell garage, Fort Jackson, KFC, and all that. So the person who's doing that is called Mr. Mavam Kukwana. He's a teacher, former teacher. This is the same person that you see when you go to Mthatha, adjacent to the beating apps. As you move out of Mthatha, going towards Tsolo, you see it at Norwood. As you go past your Mount Frey and other areas, he is there. He is in Cape Town. He's from here in the Eastern Cape. So today he was launching that investment. To date, he has created more than 400 jobs alone. You have got professionals, accountant, everybody else. And he's just using young people, training young people. It's the same person when you go past Biga in Butterworth next to Wusu. It's the same person who's doing a development there, the Shell garage there, now the Super Spa. For the first time, we'll also be experiencing the Nando's drive-through in the rural area. So he's the person who understands the rural development. And now he's doing it here in East London. As you enter Hemingway's, you see the development of a filling station there, the Shell, and all that, and also with the kiosk or quick spa there, is the same person. He's from Eastern Cape, he's not from anywhere. Now he says, banks are looking for me. He got support from CIFA, government, the seed capital of doing what he's doing. He started, he never looked back. But he had an experience of almost 30 years of try and error before he could get it right. But now he got it right, and he's moving, and we have agreed that we needed to have him in a seminar or brainstorming session with SMME on the entrepreneurship skills. Even here, you can't be a panel beater simply because your father was. You need to upgrade, you need to improve. When I'm saying today I saw the EV, that literally tells you are moving out of the combustion engine. So how are we adapting, how are we acclimatizing to that environment as the sector ourselves? So it's important to have the platform like this so that we talk to each other and engage each other in moving forward. This year, colleagues celebrate 100 years of automotive engineering, 100 years of building and exporting vehicles with established global linkages and thousands of people employed by the automotive sector. We do really appreciate the OEMs that are here, who have been here for more than 6-7 decades, your Volkswagen, your Mercedes. But I've been asking them one question. Why at this, almost after 50 years, why are you still going Germany when you are the CEO in South Africa? Volkswagen had one South African CEO, Arno, who then they took to China and moved China to Stuttgart. He's one of the deputy presidents now in their the headquarters in Germany. But you guys, previously disadvantaged people, are the ones who have been building cars here. So that for me speaks volume, and we should have really tapped into that. Yes, I know we have aggressively went into that space now to give those the black industrialists to start entering and trying to transform that, tier 1, tier 2, whatever you call them, benefiting out of that in the value chain. Because when you are building a car, when you are manufacturing a car, you're looking at the entire value chain. Someone does tires, someone does mirror, dashboard, and all that. So no one person does that. A car is another economy. One car. It's a huge economy when you look at it from a value chain. So you start here, but you are thinking about moving to another level in terms of the participation in the sector. So for me, after 100 years, we should really be talking something far different than this. It's unfortunate that probably this would have been said in the State of the Province address for the first time in 2023 in Eastern Cape. When the Premier in 2023 was delivering a speech, spoke onto this matter, that this is one industry. When you talk about rural economy, when you talk about township economy, you can't talk about that economy in exclusion of this sector where you are participating at. The automotive aftermarket industry is an integral part of the automotive sector of our economy, providing essential services, employment opportunities, and driving innovation. SMMEs form the backbone of the automotive aftermarket industry. They provide essential services to vehicle owners, generate employment opportunities, and contribute to the overall health of the economy. However, we have realized that SMME in the aftermarket often face significant challenges, including limited access to finance, inadequate training, and lack of access to market. I've always been asking this question. When I go out of East London through NTT, watching also ambulances, the fleet of government, queuing there at NTT, I always call MEC. But MEC nicinga ntoni? And I've told them that economic development, you should. That's why when I came in here, I asked MEC, who is here? Ndiyaxelelwa uba economic development ulapha nangu regional director. Ndithi kuye uphi lo mntu wakwa lento manufacturing. Lo uyi-director yalento. Why this thing is not taken the way that we feel about it as politicians? But those are people who must come and make a proper input here. So is it about taking pictures here? It's about content and contribution to ensure that what we have said in 2023 is realized by all. And I told MEC, I want this thing to be done. And it must be done politically led and championed to get everyone on board. Ndibuza MEC wakwa transport. Is transport here? I'm told transport was invited, but they were probably meant to come here and speak and leave. It should not be like that. Office of the Premier, transport, on an initiative like this, those officials are employed to make sure that they monitor and support and input in programs like this, and they are not here. We're going to force them. I've already written to the HOD Transport, I've already written to the MSC Transport, asking their officials. I said, stop working in silo. And I said to economic development, every activity, every transaction of government, people must ask a question. What is the value chain? How many jobs are you going to create? That's how you will compel and force them to appreciate the SMME. No government is going to employ everybody here in South Africa. Here in the Eastern Cape, we have employed about 127,000 people who are working in the provincial administration. We are spending 65% of 90 billion equitable share on COE, only on those people, 127, out of 7.2 million people. You are left with 35% that is meant to be used for development of the province, goods and services. But again, in a couple of billions that we have on goods and services, meant for maintenance of fleet and others, where does that go to? I've just asked that question. So that's why I said I must come here. It's two things. It's either I leave as a premier or people do what is supposed to be done. And we are going to do, and I'm saying here, you don't talk about people who are looking for tender. You're talking about people who are entrepreneurs who are running their own small enterprises in township, in rural areas. Go and plug to those people. Go and plug to those people, take them to another level. That's why I want AIDC to be very aggressive. I know the issues of money, etc., because people are always looking for money. But if you are able to think outside the box, the money will be there. We've got billions and billions of rents in our sitters, mess sitter. A gentleman was speaking about mess sitter, putting a lot of money for training and all that. And now they are taking money to universities to give bursaries to kids. How are we looking at that? How do you link Mesita with SIFA, with ECDC, with the CEDA, with Scala for younger people who must get with LRED? These are grants funding that are available. We're giving people LRED even above 2 million. LRED is a grant, it's not a loan. What makes us not to understand this sector, and everybody's going to understand, Village Regional Director, we are in London. Okay. Manje sithi kanti dibana nabantu abantu uElred ulapha eBeacon Bay kwa-economic yapha ndivistori ke MEC every time ndisithumela abantu ngo-Elred andiyazi le bhanki uElred atshixele kuyo difficult to get our people off the ground and supporting them to move forward. These developments, colleagues, present both challenges and opportunities for the automotive market. We are noting that traditional repair and maintenance services of internal combustion engines may become less relevant over time. New opportunities are emerging in the areas such as electric vehicles, charging infrastructure, and battery management systems. Sithe, by next year, March, April, sizabe sina 13 charging stations, right, Shengman? And currently we've got 4. And la moto, yeka BMW, isuka up, kule franchise yabilapa Beria, la moto. So bayacho kumba, sinayo la pavement center one, but if you charge it, fully charged, it can only travel you for about 400 kilometers. So you need other charging, battery charging stations around this. That's another opportunity. Who must own it? We need charging points. Can those charging points still belong to him? How do you unpack and unbundle that value chain so that people like yourselves begin to get into that? So think outside the box. We need to adapt. We need to move with time. And big economies in the world are almost moving out of these carbonized engines. They are really decarbonizing. So we've got to move with speed and get ourselves involved into that space. Those are opportunities that are coming. Program Director, if I may remind the delegates that it is through our SOPA 2023, as I've said, announcement that we committed to unlocking the markets for the aftermarket SMME through the government fleet maintenance contract. Still, uba ngoku akukabikho nto concrete karhulumente from transport ethi le nto siyithethe ngo-2023 yenzeka njani iyawuba ngumhlola wokuba nyhani politicians ngingamaxoki. So ndifuna ke ngo-economic development, AIDC, go develop this model. How are we going to get it? So that we present it in cabinet of the province, present it in government. This is how this can be done. This is how we can make sure that we get, because those who are there, they might not be able to think because they are not even nearer from where we are as we are discussing this issue today. NAMD is imposing it today. How many people? Normally premiers cannot just do that. You invite premier for a month or 2 months in advance. Because I want to see the change in our province. We can't continue to be this province of potential that is not moving forward. So it's going to be important that we work together, colleagues, and government does that. Government can only create conducive environment. You must make things happen. We must create conducive environment and support you, make you to access the market, etc. It is a market that is within our control as government, and we should be bold enough to unlock this market for our SMME in the province. Challenges facing the aftermarket SMME includes lack access to finance, lack of access to the right equipment. Our technician, they are not going to lot tender, 20, 50, only with 3 years. We see this corner up. That person is guaranteed to get that support fund. Ukhona isi disabently. Niyayiva nto ndiyithethayo? Niyayiva nto lo mfandi manje ndifuna uva theory ndifuna uyibona emntwini. Kuthiwe nangu umzekelo womntu osemfandileyo. From the recent assessment that the ICC Eastern Cape is conducting on occupational health and safety, they have also found that less than 10% of the assessed 85 aftermarket SMME do not comply with health and safety requirements. Yingxaki lena ekufuneka niyiqwalasele. Compliance goes hand in hand with the dealing with all other challenges mentioned above. The solution is a two-way street. Government will try and address the challenges through the intervention of AIDC Eastern Cape. On the other hand, SMME themselves will have to step up on their compliance requirements. This event is an excellent platform for connecting SMME with stakeholders like banks, and maybe that banks is here, Standard Bank and others. That's very good for us. Government financial institution, and maybe ECDC is here, and local government stakeholders. We should be solution-driven and not only criticize. I can assure that the AIDC is involved in the discussion with both provincial treasury and government fleet with the intention to localize that allocation of maintenance contracts to our SMME. Ndithanda andifuna ubona isithukuthezi semoto ii-ambulances ezima-iveki because entity cannot carry that capacity. When you have you as mechanics, that you can deal with that issue, etc. So we've got to unbundle that market and also give the opportunity on that value chain. On the roads, we've adopted the expansionary economic, macroeconomic policy to make sure that we invest in the infrastructure. Nobusuka engqusho ubheka ngase emakhanda. We're putting almost a billion investment into that maintenance roads. Nobusuke Matatiel ubheka Kokstad, a billion road project is there. Nobusuke Mount Frey ubheke Mount Elif, a billion project road is there. Nobusuke Bisho ubheke Qumrha, a two-way road billion project, it is there. There are almost all these billion. Nobusuke Kreidog ubheke Wharf Mayor, a $500 million project is there. Nobusuke Alwal North up to Lady Grey, Buckley East, Elliot, you go to Tokweng up to Matate. We're putting road infrastructure there. So we are working around the clock. Nobubheka apha eNciba, akho mntu aphinda kweli litye pha. Sibamba kwalitye ngathi liyantenga pha. So abantu abadrayiva pha noba kuyanetha noba akunethi. So this is an infrastructure that is meant to unlock the potential. It's an enabler. We want to get business moving. We're building an 8 billion infrastructure road that connects Durban to East London, which is going to cut the traveling time of trucks by 3 hours, putting two bridges that are not existing in this continent, Msikaba and Mtendu, combined at more than 3 billion project. That road is being done as I'm speaking to you. Those bridges are there. You can go to Wild Coast, you will see. We are talking with ministers on the pledging and front loading. We need to get Eastern Cape being a complete construction site on everything. We want to do as many roads as possible. Chinese told us, I was in China a few weeks ago, they said, if you want to be rich, build roads, full stop, and nothing else. This is where we are focusing at, and I've said here in the province, let's all be preoccupied with how best are we dealing with microeconomics. Because if you understand the microeconomics, you would know this is where you talk factories, this is where you talk firms. I was happy to learn that Ulster Bread is now supplying not only Eastern Cape here from Fort Jackson, but even other adjacent provinces, with more than 100 trucks moving around the province. That's an economy. We need to get things like those happening, and there's a lot that is happening in our province, and more still to come. Thank you very much. And this is man.
We're very grateful for the Premier and MEC being at our event. We really appreciate it. Maybe if we can get back to our panel. I trust the panelists are still here.
Yeah.
Colleagues, maybe I'd like to open for a round of questions because I know that a lot of what was shared was very impactful, and I would like to maybe open the floor for any questions that may be articulated. Once again, please, if you don't mind, when you stand, just give us your name, the name of your company, and share your questions. If we can ask, please, for you to be quite concise in the specificity of your question, so that the panel can respond adequately. Yeah, please, can I see a show of hands? We have one. Any more hands? Just one hand. 2, 3 I've noticed. 4 I've noticed on that side. So let's start with.
Thank you very much. Facilitator, afternoon. Let me greet you, the Honorable Premier as he's leaving, the Honorable MEC, our panelist. Igama, I go by Councillor Bongeka Mbonjwa from Sinqu Local Municipality in Jo'qabi. It's a pity ke ngokwe protocol when the Premier egqibothetha, none of us is allowed to speak. But unfortunately, I raised up my hand later from the previous panel. But facilitator, let me appreciate my second panelists. How I wish we started by them. The way they put up the mood, they uplifted the mood of this Indaba. To show Indoba, honestly, kuyasetyenzwa, as the Premier was saying. Let me start with them. I don't have questions, but some it's just insight and advices. We are talking about how do we market our businesses. I would love to say to everyone who's an SMME here, how best we use social media. Social media can build your business. But you as a business owner, how you conduct yourself, you can as well kill your business. So there's a very thin line that we must understand the importance and the disadvantages of social media as business people. One, we need to understand the use of PR. And be very careful on how we conduct ourselves in that space if you are someone who's doing business and you know and respect your business. I love the testimonies that almost everyone in the panelists are talking about how they use their social media to uplift their businesses. There is power in social media of both building businesses, but also to kill businesses if your PR of your business, you don't know how to manage it. Then lastly, it's a matter of knowing and understanding your clients. Also understanding the low-hanging fruits in also the space of social media. For instance, now you talk about social media, but Facebook is no longer powerful as TikTok. So you need to keep moving with times. That it means, to our fathers who are here, who are running this automotive industries, they need to have young people that specifically, smartphone, who is busy with TikTok, with an after and before and after the car gets into Iafika from that tow truck, Iathatwa, then when it's done, the owner is taking the car. Kunayo ivitu, but is into vlog. Yes, we need to do vlogs now, capitalizing where are people, because there's no one, you are busy, there's no one who has time to take a flyer. That was just an advice. Also, we should have that particular individual who reads the comments. to every one of you who are sitting here as a business person, don't sleep if you have a Facebook page or you have a TikTok account without you going through the comments of the people. Because that's where you're going to get the feedback of what you are doing right and what you are not doing wrong. And we must also hold our emotion to constructive criticism, because some of the business owners, they kill themselves by the way they answer or respond into those comments. Then you find out you are hurting other people that are in your business. But there is an MTN here. There are these business people. How do you then use a TikTok or a Facebook account effectively if you are an SME in an area where there is no 5G pole that is supplying, that is making your smartphone to be effective? Then it means now, us in local government, we need to have sessions of this nature where we say, like for instance, in Simbu local municipality, I have 17 wards, but in all those 17 wards, there are people doing businesses there, but not all those 17 wards, there is full coverage. What is MTN is doing without challenge? So these deliberations need to be deliberations as is and solutions to the people on the ground and to be solving the problems of the SMMEs on the ground. I like it. I'm about to leave. I'm about to finish, program director. From the previous panelists, I so wish they are still here. But there is something that the Premier, fortunately for me, that he talked about. How are we saying, as government, how are we directing these businesses that we have, this business opportunities that we have as government, direct and be deliberate to these SMMEs? Like for instance, in Simbu local municipality, we have so many government departments. We have our own fleet management, our fleet as the municipality. But how do we become deliberate to say, who is buying the tires of the vehicles that we are using as the municipality? Who is servicing the vehicles of the municipality, let alone of the government departments? So other than us always have these gatherings for them to say they must come and listen to how many people where they can get funding. But we need to have direct injections to them to say, okay, fine, as the municipality, this is the procurement of the spares and tires and everything, then we become directive to that. How many SMMEs that they end up closing their businesses because they don't have space to occupy on? How is the municipality making the buildings and Department of Public Works to say, for you, come and rent this place? As the municipality, we are giving you an incubation to say you are not going to pay rent for so many times, for so many number of months, because through that, you are making that SMME to be viable as that gentleman over there to have reserves instead of going and pay rent. How are we saying, as the municipality, Department of Technical Services, make sure this person is getting to the indigent register, whereby this person doesn't pay rent, doesn't pay for water and electricity, because we want to make it a point that this SMME is benefiting and getting money to come and back and invest to the business. So some of them get as new premier lengas. But one lastly, we need to do a policy and registration review. There are things that we need to take out from our policies that will make every one of these SMMEs that are here to be able to benefit in all this government funding, because there is a lot of red tape that is still there. So it's an engagement for another session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. With all protocols reserved, my name is Adans Pakane. I'm from Matatiele town. My question will direct to Mr. Titus, I think, yes. I would like to know how can we get hold of you, sir? You've said something that we've been discussing with my friend the whole night. He's passionate about recycling, especially glasses. He was telling me about that idea. And it was first time for me to hear about that. You can convert glass to a sand. So I would like to get a hold of you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, if we just hold the questions, is that fine? You can record it, and then I'll just get all the questions.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Let's go to the red shirt.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Bonga. I think my question is directed to the gentleman from Queenstown. Such an inspiring story. I think I'm following on your footstep. I'm just behind you. How long did it take you to finally get to pay yourself a solid amount into your bank account consistently? A solid amount. Thank you.
Thanks, Program Director. I think mine, it's more of an observation and also maybe to challenge AIDC that we need more platform that maybe that on a similar nature, wherein we invite the guy from Queenstown to share in much detail the experience. Because my observation is that in this environment, you need more skills. And I don't think one person as a single owner, you may be able to then have the capability or the capacity to manage your books and on the same side to deal with issues of compliance. And then also again, you have to then to be the same mechanic that is running your own business. I think to me, say maybe more especially to a gentleman from Ikaka, after today and then also have seen also your colleagues in the industry, what do you plan to do better to improve your business and then to ensure that you also follow on the footsteps on the other two guys here? And then also the second question being that, are you planning also to diversify, maybe to have other streams of income, not necessarily focusing on one, as a mechanic, maybe go, like he said, he went to logistics, whatever that is possible related to what you are doing so that you can improve. And then also, how damaging are your fixed costs, like rental? How much impact are they doing in the business? In that, are they one of the barriers that, including, let's say, the rentals and your compliance, that make you struggle, most entities, to break even? How do you manage that in going forward? Because I cannot see that you find that most of mechanics, if you go to East London, they're in a certain area, and then you'll pay the same rent as your neighbor, and then the other one will succeed and the other one will not succeed. How do you manage it? And then also, is there a possibility that maybe we can move spread outside East London so that you get a space with your clientele, so that your business can prosper and maybe you pay lesser rent? Thank you.
I think we've got one more comment. There was a gentleman with the black shirt or black jacket.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Sipho Malindi from Sira Trading. My question is based from the engineer guy, Mr. Tao. Yes. I've been in automotive for more than 8 years now. What I experience in rural area, there are no engineers there. So all the mechanics, they're trying to do engineering stuff, no engineers. People try to open the engineering firms and then close down. So I want to know to him, he can able to go to the rural area, rural towns, small towns, and check the volume of the cars, and check the guy like me in rural area, maybe can do business there to open the engineering firm. That is what I want to know to him.
Sorry, which area? Which rural area?
No, I mean Lusigisigimi. Yes.
Okay, is that the last Last, I'm not missing anyone behind pillars. I can't see behind pillars. Oh, there we go.
It's me again. I'm an administrator by profession and decided, I used to work for National Lottery and decided to move into this sector in 2016. I had started in 2007 already. And what I have seen is that mechanics are known for fixing cars, whether they do it good or not, but they just fix cars. So there has to be skills development in terms of running a business. And that is why everyone is surprised how Titus has managed to do that. Most of the issues that affect our businesses is the tax issues. People don't know how to run the business. They get in trouble with SARS. They don't have administration. And people are just living hand to mouth. So if there could be a workshop probably to go back to the basics of how do you run this business? How do you pay yourself? Because we only work to pay the employees and to pay the rentals. We don't even get to paying ourselves. We starve while you have to pay your mechanics a lot of money. So if we could go to the basics of running these workshops as proper businesses and collaborations, we need to have collaborations where you say we can work, maybe someone who is doing engineering can collaborate with someone who is doing auto electrical work or mechanical work. That will also help in building our businesses. Because you see, even on our platforms, you find that these platforms are mainly used to look for spares. I'm looking for a starter. And that's all. If you put something to say, guys, let's approach ECDC to see how they can assist us, because most of the guys are closing down, how they can assist us with workshops, nobody would respond. People are not here because they are frustrated. Most of them are giving up. So if we could have something that will probably refresh, coming from COVID, coming from load shedding and all that, people are distressed. So if we could have something to refresh the businesses and maybe so that one day we'll qualify to know who our business banker is, that would assist us a lot. Thank you so much.
My name is Ukuhle Mbane. I'm the director at ASM3Com, which is an auto body repair shop. I think what's important to me, especially, is getting money into the account. Once you get the money into the account, you need to be able to manage that money once you get it from the client. So I just want the panel just to brief us there in terms of the financial aspect of the business. Because once you know how to manage the money, it will help you in terms of quoting the client, in terms of the material that you need, in terms of the parts that you need to buy. So getting money into the account and then having to manage that money. So thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I have to close the round for questioning now because we're just running out of time. Maybe, Kai, if I can ask you to start your responses.
Thank you, and thank you for the questions. I've got so many ideas on how to answer these questions, but there's not enough time, so I'm going to try to be quick. The gentleman who spoke about recycling and glass, the company name is Gearing Engineering. This is Utaitas. I am Ukaya Madiba. I run the company Gearing Engineering. That's the first company as you come in through the door on the right. please visit the stand. I've got an awesome crew. The ladies are there. We'll get your details. We'll set up an appointment, and we can start discussing on how we can support you. I can also give you some advice in terms of the funding opportunities, and I mean, we've got the Honorable MEC here, who can possibly, there's LRED fund, you can apply to there, so we can quote you on the machine that we can build for you. So we can be able to help you with that. The other question was how to manage income and compliance to grow your business. I think it really gets to me that it is unfortunate, but I see it every day, that as small companies, and I'm going to be specific, as small black companies, into esibethayo thina kungazi, knowledge asiyazi. We don't know what is in front of us, what we can access. And there's nothing great that I have done to get myself to where I am. But it's being able to see and being able to use some of the available platforms that we have. I'll give you an example. Immersita, every single person in this room, if you've got a business that has to do with manufacturing, you must be registered with Immersita. How many of you here, if I can just see by a show of hands, how many of you here know the date of when you need to submit your annual training report to Immersita? Anyone? That just shows the lack of information. It means spend time on Google. I'm available, even afterwards. I'm willing to take 5-10 minutes, explain a little bit about the CETAs, because as a company that has payroll turnover of above $1 million a year, I have to pay a skills development levy to SARS. That skills development levy I pay to SARS is there to help you to train your people so that you can be able to spend money training your people, training yourself. You apply for bursaries, internships, learnerships, apprenticeships, etc., and the money does not come from you. The stipends to pay people does not come from you, and that helps you with your cash flow. And I hope I'm also trying to answer your question on how you manage your money. And that's how you manage your money. Because you apply to the CETAs every year on the 31st of April. You must submit an annual training report to the CETA saying, what have you trained in the past 12 months? And if you are new, what is your WSP, your workplace skills plan for the next 12 months? And that's where you apply. You apply for apprenticeships, you apply for bursaries, you apply for internships. That money will come for the CETAs because big businesses are paying, and that money is sitting there. It needs to be utilized. It needs you to apply for it, meet the minimum requirements, and you are guaranteed that that money will come to you, and you'll be able to receive it. You also need to get a good mentor. I've got 6 mentors, by the way. I have 6 mentors as young as I am. And those mentors are older people, and I've got one who's also the same age as me. Your mentor is there to advise you on certain things in your business and on personal life. So I highly advise you how to manage your income and compliance. Make sure you have a mentor in the space. A couple of you have mentioned, we are here. We are willing to share. We lose nothing by sharing. You could be my competitor next year, but that will mean I must step up my game to make sure that I stay in play. The other question is, how can we work together to build the engineering services being offered in the rural areas? Can I? Okay. So to build services in the rural areas, you need to align yourself. I have bi-monthly meetings with my staff, and one of the things they raised is that in the rural areas, there's very few companies that actually make an outreach to there. So we have made it a point. Not that I see Butterworth as a rural area, but we are opening a branch. We have partnered with Mersita. I submitted my WSP to Mersita. I'm waiting for them to respond to me. I have requested for 4 apprentices. The Premier's office, I already have 3. I've requested for 2 bursaries, and I've requested for 2 interns from Mersita. Meaning for 12 months, the salaries of those individuals working in that branch will not be coming from my pocket. The CETA will be paying for them. I'm just waiting for the approval from them. I am partnering with the ECDC. The ECDC has a building. We've identified the building. We know the renovations that we need to make there. We are preparing to approach Honorable MEC's office to request for assistance to do the renovations we need to do. But the ECDC has said, we will give you this building, and we are willing to have a discussion about a reduced rental rate. We are also partnering We're also partnering and working together with the AIDC, where AIDC is providing us this platform for potential customers that are sitting in the audience, but at the same time, it is potential partners as well. And we are also partnering with Ubumbi Ngomso, which is an NPO, an institution that helps with the soft skills that we spoke about here as well. They would assist those students who are graduates to get them to some level of preparedness as they're entering the workspace. Because abantwana bayasiphoxa shem. Bayasiphoxa, the attitude is not there. And an organization like Ubumbi Ngomso is there to try and help us as employers to get the people ready. So how do we create that partnership? It's by knowing what's available in front of you and what you can use and being able to tap into it. It's not easy. It will not happen overnight. And the one thing I will ask of everyone in this room, ukuba into oyifunayo oyizoyilwela ngebusiness yakho, awukwazi ulala. Xa abanye abantu besithi baye holideyini wena uyasebenza. Xa abanye abantu besithi hayi ndiyobukela ibhola wena uyasebenza. Time and time again I have fight with my friends mna. Sithi sihleli sibukele ibhola nantsi laptop phambi kwam ndiyasebenza. You need to focus. Follow one course until you are successful. Do not give up. It took us 2 years to get registered with the RT46. It took us 2.5 years to get registered with the NACAM. It took us a year to get our ISO certification. But as I'm sitting here right now, we have it in the bag. We are preparing to open another branch. Competitors, companies, engineering companies are closing their doors. We are standing, and we are standing firm. So if I can motivate you in any way, please use us. Ask. We are here to share as much as we can, especially on the knowledge part of saying, use the seaters. That's what they are there for. And then lastly, I'm taking a bit long, but the last one on managing your tax. The taxman is the last person you want to mess with. Taxman, now before anyone else gets paid, SARS, qala. SARS, pay SARS. After you pay SARS, you pay your people. After you pay your people, you start negotiating with your suppliers. If in Mamela man, after 60 days, after 90 days, after 45 days, on credit. When you are a business with great business ethics, you are able to have conversations with business owners where they are able to give you that. Without sharing too much, I've got a handshake agreement with one of my biggest suppliers, where all I need to do is just say, listen man, Eklonyanga, things are tough. I need to place an order of steel from you that is extremely high. Can I pay you in 60 days? And just gives me a thumbs up because of the relationship that we've been able to build, because of the trust he knows. I will never lie to him. If he phones me, I will answer his call. And I will make sure that at least he gets paid. So how to manage it? Also use Google. There's so many apps. There's all QuickBooks. We use Sage. Sage we have to pay for, 10,000 Rand a year, a license. QuickBooks is free. Use QuickBooks to help you manage your cash flow, help you to do projections. How often do you do projections? You know what you spend on rent, you know what you spend on wages, you should be tracking how many liters you spend on your water, how many units of electricity you spend. Those are known overheads. How do you budget for the following month? So that you can start negotiating with some of your suppliers to say, Mamela man, I can see that in a month's time or 2 months' time, I'm not going to be able to pay you in time. Dicela an additional 30 days. How many of you have gone to your suppliers and asked, if I pay you within 30 days every single month, please give me a 2% discount? Economy 1 rand, $1 million. So any saving that you can make, try and make it. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, panelists, I have to ask you to keep your answers concise. Sorry, it's just that we're totally running out of time at the moment. Yeah, thanks, Titus.
Okay, thanks. I'll have to summarize this.
Look, I think there's time for engagement post this,
Yeah.
So colleagues, please feel free, as the guys have mentioned so many times, please engage with them. They are here to talk with. We're just limited by just time, unfortunately.
I'll answer the gentleman that asked me a question with regards to how long it took for me to be able to pay myself a solid account. There's something I didn't share with the audience. When I qualified, I was working for Department of Transport as an artisan. Then I got promoted to becoming an artisan foreman. Then I became an artisan foreman superintendent. And I was earning 65,000 rand a month. I then took a decision to resign and take a less post of a stipend of 5,000 rand. And people were laughing at me. What I noticed when I was working for Department of Transport, quite a huge chunk of the work that we were doing, working on the yellow fleet vehicles, we were outsourcing. And a lot of companies in Queenstown were getting rich because I was the person that was signing off the invoices and giving POs. So I told myself, why don't I bring a new strategy? I then resigned, applied for a mentorship post where I got a 5,000 rand stipend a month. I could afford to do this because I had reserves in the bank and I had other businesses that were running. So what I did, I went and approached the regional director of public works and I said, you guys are getting students through the office of the premier. Can I mentor the students at a fee of 5,000 rand? Which was a brilliant idea. But remember, public works does not have a mechanical workshop. So what I did, I opened my own mechanical workshop and I took all those students and I mentored them. So it's coming back to answer a question, how is it that when you are running a business and you've got a lot of vehicles coming in, you're only making ends meet, but you cannot pay yourself? That was my first point. I made money by training the students, and I let the students do the basic services of vehicles, but also managing them and supervising them. And I went and did the bigger jobs. I would always, at the end of the month, go submit their logbooks at Department of Public Works whilst getting that 5,000 rand. So I then later saw an advert coming up where there was a tender coming out for the yellow fleet and supply of spares. So I quickly resigned because a government employee cannot do business with the government. So I quickly resigned. 3 months later, I was off the database of the government from National Treasury, and I applied for the tender. I was one of the applicants that was successful in getting the tender. That's where I kicked off my business, by taking that big chunk out of my salary and opting for something small because it was a risk. And a lot of people that I was working with, my subordinates and everyone that was in the same level as me, they were laughing at me saying that I'm stupid. How could I give up on a job like that? But I then ended up invoicing per vehicle in excess of about 300,000 rand. And I was submitting my invoices to the same office where I was the topic of discussion. And they actually confirmed and said, you know what, we were laughing at you. We didn't know this is what you were planning. So that's how I turned my business around. But it took me nothing less than 4 years for me to be able to draw a salary because I had to constantly reinvest in the business. And I only applied for funding once and I never got it. And I swore to myself that I will never go knock on the bank's door ever again. And till this day, I don't take anything from the bank. I always save up and I buy things cash. It's not easy, but it's possible. And when you put your mind to it, you can eat pilchard the whole week. You're not going to die. Instead of saying, I'm going to eat Kentucky today, tomorrow I'm going to have debonair, the next day I'm going to have steers, don't do that. If the money is in the bank account, just let it stay there. Or rather, reinvest that money in something else that's going to bring money. Because you keeping 100,000 rand in that bank account, how much interest are you going to earn? Not much. But if you take that 100,000 rand and invest it in something that's going to triple it within 3 weeks to a month's time, I'd rather say do that. So that's the question I wanted to answer. Coming back to the issue of scale and capacity. Government is spending a lot of money, and this is coming back to what you were saying about the knowledge and access to information. The government is spending a lot of money in applying students to our workshops and applying for value-added services for our businesses in terms of tax-related issues, capacity building in terms of knowledge, and capacity building as well. All you need to do in your relevant SETA, you just have to ask questions. MERSETA is there. I mean, we in the automotive industry, most of us are under MERSETA. It's a matter of just calling the office, finding out what initiatives are they bringing about in that financial year, which initiatives can you participate in, and have those probing questions that will bring you to light. And On the other question, the rental compliance, this is the biggest mistake we all make. When I was expanding my business, I opened up a branch here in East London. To me, it was the best decision ever. However, it was the best decision up until the landlord of the complex I was renting from gave a vacant workshop to another mechanical workshop. And the guy had funding, he had everything. And mind you, I was still trying to build the other workshop in Queenstown. And those guys killed my business. And I had a huge fight with my landlord because by law, he was not supposed to give someone rental space within the same industry I'm in because that would kill my business. I then took my pride out of my pocket and I said, you know what, let me look for other space. Within East London, I still have hope that East London has got the revenue that I want. And I opened up another workshop. And fortunately for me, I'm not shy to ask, I'm not shy to speak. So what I did, I took a drive to Joburg. And I went and approached SA Taxi. And apparently they've got a lot of taxis in the Eastern Cape that they're supplying. So to cut a long story short, I ended up being their sole provider in the Eastern Cape for services and towing. So that opened up a lot of doors because all the contracts I had in Queenstown, automatically that meant those contracts I could have in East London as well. So the rental became an issue because now the landlord started seeing that I'm making money, and with the foot traffic of the vehicles coming in and out, and he became very selfish and he, wanted to double the rent with no apparent reason. So it's coming back to the compliance issue as well because there's a gentleman that spoke about RMI and all these accreditations that we as mechanical workshop must be part of. And I actually changed the game. I said, I don't need RMI. I don't need RMI. RMI doesn't give me jobs.
Yeah.
I was paying RMI 5,500 rand a month. And I asked them a question, and I think we were part of the other Indaba franchise that was here 2 years ago. And I asked a specific question to one of the panelists from the insurance industry, asking her if it was mandatory for us as mechanical workshops to be part of RMI, for us to be recognized merchants. And the answer was no.
No.
So we need to shy away from thinking that we owe RMI our monies for them to be able to see us. That's number 2. Number 3, everyone that opens a mechanical workshop jumps for the West Bank RT46 contract. There's plenty of business. I'll be honest with everyone here. I haven't had a job from West Bank in over a year. To a point I told them they can keep their jobs. I don't need their jobs. So our mistake as mechanical workshops is because we see people having 15 ambulances in their workshops and we don't understand the challenges thereof that people are facing with West Bank. There are challenges where you want to replace a water pump and you cannot use an aftermarket water pump on certain vehicles like your VW Crafters. We go OEM because we don't want to have comebacks. But they will force you to buy an aftermarket, but yet you owe them 12 months warranty on that job. So those are the issues that we as mechanical workshops need to engage with. And I'm quite disappointed that West Bank didn't pitch up here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of questions, and not in a confrontational manner, but it's capacity building questions that are critical to the livelihoods of our businesses. I mean, it took me 2 days to get on the West Bank panel. I'm disappointed to hear that this gentleman took 2 years. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Then there's also the issue of defective workmanship insurance, motor traders, internal and external. Those things cost money. And without those things, you cannot get into these contracts. And how do I expect Mr. X, after having opened a workshop, that he must have a toolkit, a tool list that comprises of 300,000 rands worth of tools, or else he doesn't get it. And this is where I was fortunate because me having saved up money and buying tools over and above, it was so easy for me to get into West Bank. Then finally, the running of a business, the basics, the basics of running a business. How do we run a business? And I always say this to people, if you guys didn't have a stall for oranges, or ice cream, or ice lollies. You cannot expect at this age you can start to operate a fully fledged business within a period of 12 months. It's either you're born with it or you study into it or you're groomed into that business. And unfortunately, a lot of people that come into the sphere of business, they expect their businesses to flourish within the first 12 months. And that's not possible. It's really not. And if you fail, you must not think that you're a failure. I always say to people, you know, I have a lot of friends out of the province that started opening up mechanical workshops. And when I'm conversing with them, they would have 5 cars in the workshop and they would say, that's 50,000 rand. That's not money. It's only 50,000 when the vehicle is delivered and the money is in your account. And mind you, the 50,000 still has the cost effect of the parts that you paid. And you still have the employees.
Overheads.
And the overheads as well.
Yeah.
So we need to have longer discussions based on such issues. And I would love for AIDC in the near future, if we can have an Indaba of our own as mechanical workshops, so that we can give the guys insight and ideas as to how they can improve their businesses. I'm not getting any jobs from West Bank. I lost my temper and I said they must take their cars, they must go, because I don't need their cars. You understand? It was unprofessional of me, but they drove me to a point where I was getting late payments. I was getting assessors not coming to inspect vehicles. You understand? And those vehicles are parked in my workshop. You cannot charge storage because it's part of the contract and the agreement that you've got with them. You know? And when they don't come back to you over the periods of December, we are open. We have to work throughout December. And you've got 50 vehicles that come through in that period. But there are no assessors because they're on holiday. So what happens to your cash flow for January? How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to pay your workers? You've got kids going to school in January, and some of these schools are saying, we're not accepting your kids because you still owe us for December or for November. So these are the challenges that we've got. And going the loan route is not always the solution. It's not always the solution. Do something else. If we've got mechanical workshops in excess of our 300 squares. If you can sell water, that's added revenue in the workshop. If you can sell food inside the workshop to your workers, that's more revenue for you. Exploit. As long as you've got that space, use it and make something out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah? Briefly.
Yeah, very quickly, in the interest of time and focusing on marketing, we've seen some brilliant examples here on stage of people helping one another and building their brands. This is an impeccable example of brand building by helping those who need the advice, who need the guidance in terms of business. Branding goes beyond your social media presence. It goes beyond pamphlets and flyers.
Yeah.
Focus on networking.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Don't shy away from that because you don't know what opportunities lie within those discussions. And then 2 key learnings that I also can take away from this panel discussion. The EV conversation. While you are working on today, focus on the future. How can you tap into that market? How can you build it into your branding strategy? Think about that and think about if it's possible for you. And then also, lastly, use every opportunity as a vehicle to market your brand, whether it's your car. You have a business. If you're driving out here without marketing on your car, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's a moving billboard. Thousands of eyes every day. Take those opportunities. When you're walking through the mall, wear your business on your shirt. I see some businesses in the audience that have taken that opportunity. Well done. So these are key learnings and very easy things. We focus on profit. You want to make money. You don't want to spend it. You don't have to spend that much on sharing and marketing your brand. There are simple ways to do that. So take the opportunity. Thank you.
One of the questions I got was, how do I plan to better my business? Well, that one is a tricky one. But with that being said, a vehicle is comprised of systems. It's a bit like of you've got your thermal management, you've got gearbox and all that, and it's got electronics. So I'm actually looking into venturing that direction. In-depth electronics, fixing engine ECUs, And then there was one about diversification. Diversification is a tricky one because if you plan to diversify, I believe you should make sure what you're doing first is concrete. You can't just venture into a new thing whilst you haven't perfected the one that you've started on. And also venture more into training as part of bettering my company. Because what I cannot understand is we're moving forward, we're moving to electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and yet we still have motor mechanical trade, and you've got auto electrical trade on the side. What are we still doing with the motor mechanic trade instead of fusing the two? Because we're moving more electrical than motor mechanical. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I think the panelists have added so much value to the session and to this day, actually. So I want to thank you very much for making time available, colleagues, and I thank you for being willing to share open-heartedly. Thank you. Thank you. If you don't mind standing, we'd like to take a photograph of you all together. And then we will go to the prizes after this, if that's okay. Thank you. So can I have our chairperson, our CEO, and the ABSA regional manager here, please, on stage. Thank you. Colleagues, so this award or reward or competition, yeah, you can come on stage, Chair. Thank you very much. To participate in it, you had to be a person that was part of the cohort of companies that the AIDC Eastern Cape conducted a diagnostic assessment of your business, and you registered online and participated in the process. So what we've got is we've got three categories. The first category is looking at women-owned businesses. The second one is youth-owned businesses. And the last is based on location on rural-owned businesses. So what we've got is the three categories. So the first category of the rural-owned business is the orange category. So we have one person who's got sufficiently enough small hands to be able to select a tag from within that jar. So and then that will be handed over by our CEO, Mr. Thabo Shinglani, the rural category. So if you can select the... Why am I doing rural? Yes. So, CEO, if you don't mind handing over the board. So if you could come on stage here. And we'd like to take a photograph. Okay, so the second category is the youth category, which is green. So if we can select a name, and that would be our chairperson handing this over. Green, youth. There's no relation. Sorry, there's no relation between the two people. Just for the record. Yeah, I just needed to declare that up front. Thank you. So I'd like to invite the MEC up for the final category, if that's okay. The final category is the woman-owned business. And that's the yellow category. So if we can select a name from there. Great. We'd like to thank ABSA for sponsoring these categories, and we really appreciate everything that ABSA has done for our event today. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. All right, just to add that each of the winners will also benefit from 15,000 Rand business development support as well, additional. Thank you, ABSA. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think please, winners, before you leave, please would you mind coming through to the ABSA stand that we would like to take an additional photograph with you, please, if that's possible. Thank you. Colleagues, I think we've reached an end of a very successful day. There's been a lot of value added, and there has been a few times that it's been iterated that there is a need for another session like this, possibly a more engaging session, particularly with business owners themselves, being able to communicate learning, successes, ideas, opportunities, etc. So I think we've made a note of it as AIDC Eastern Cape, and we'll definitely incorporate that, especially into our future planning with respect to our aftermarket expo in Indaba. I would like to invite the MEC to close our event for today. And we're very appreciative, MEC, that you could join us today. And we're thankful that you can close our event. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Govender, and also for declaring that you are not related to the winner. Otherwise, we think that he won because it's related to you. And also let me greet the chairperson of the board and all board members, the CEO and all the staff of AIDC, HOD and the staff of DDIT that are here. If they are any, except Regional Director Basematol. Mine is just to say thank you to everybody who have made this possible. More especially the sponsors. And let me thank Standard Bank and ABSA, and also ABSA for your generosity. Thank you very much. We don't have this money to give to the SMMEs as prizes, but working together we can do more. Because as government, we can't do this on our own. We need the private sector. We need to work together to change the lives of the people of the Eastern Cape, and the things that have been raised here, and also what the Premier said, because I'll take our Premier title. But as government, we are focusing on SMMEs because SMMEs have a potential of creating jobs. We'll never be able to create jobs if we do not support the SMMEs. And the experience in other countries like China, they are focusing on SMMEs. That's why their economy is growing. And we'll never be able to grow the economy without SMMEs. But we are trying our best. But also, I liked what I've heard here from the panelists. Unfortunately, I only heard the ones that were here when I arrived. And what I like about them is that they are not old, they are young. So it means this country does have a future because you see young people that are doing it for themselves. And the mistake that usually SMMEs make is to, if you get money, you use it. You go to Mauritius, you buy big cars. Because ufuna ubonisa abantu balenda kuhlala kuyo ba ulendile. You've landed to take Mercedes Benz. And then at the end of the month, awunayo imali uphinde uqhubekeke nebusiness yakho. So first thing first, but as government, through SIDA, we must be able to support you and make sure that you do have the skills. As this 7th administration, we have 6 priorities, but I will only mention 3. And the first one is that we need to put the people of the Eastern Cape to work. So we have to create jobs. By supporting SMMEs who are creating jobs, by supporting businesses who are creating jobs, and also by paying them within 30 days. Because if we pay them after 30 days, we are killing the small businesses. And the second one is building our industries for an inclusive economy. Because the majority of the people of this country, for many years, they have been spectators in their own economy. And the government of the day is saying they must not be spectators in their own economy. But how do you become active players in your own economy? You can't be an active player only by focusing on tenders. Tenders are cost sustainable. Yes, but they are not sustainable. So we need to build industries as the country. And also investing in people. That means we need to make sure that people have the requisite skills. Landio EVs and the traditional mechanics. It's the debate AIDC that we need to pursue. Because the country and the world is not static, is evolving. And things are changing very fast. So how do we adapt to that as SMMEs? And the electric vehicles are the future. So how are we going to make sure that we adapt to the future as the SMMEs? And also sitters, there's so much money in the sitters. How do we utilize the sitters to make sure that you are skilled? You need to up the game every day, because le nto uyenzayo ukhona omnye umuntu okwazi uyenze and ayenze bhetele now. But how do you up your game? And as this province, the economy of this province is depending on the automotive industry and followed by agriculture. And we've said we need to diversify the economy because you can't focus and depend in one sector. What if tomorrow they decide to pack their bags and leave South Africa? We'll be doomed. So diversification is very important. Yesterday, besilapha eGqeberha siyovula amatanki carbon black. They are housed now from Port of Port Elizabeth. Lamatanki azohouswa yiKucha Development Corporation with the assistance of DTIC. Government have invested 272 million. And Orion, the company that is utilizing Lamatanki, have already invested more than 340 million because yenza la powder mnyama yenza amatayar. So they are working with those companies that are manufacturing tires. A car cannot move without tires. So all these small and things are important to make sure that the car moves. So you are also important in making sure that the transport, the logistics, because you cannot grow the economy without logistics. You need logistics, but you need roads. That's why the Premier was talking about roads, because roads are an enabler. All what we have to do tonight as government is to make sure that we create an environment that is conducive for investors to come and invest in the Eastern Cape. But when they come and invest in the Eastern Cape, they need to partner with the people of the Eastern Cape. But also, now ujongba kule value chain, where do you feature in the whole thing? Divile ke lo gqibela bethetha apha uthi lento yo diversify. You can't focus in one thing. Yes, you must master what you are doing, but you can't focus only in one thing. What if akho mntu uzayo kwazulungisa imoto? How are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to feed your family? You need to do something else also. And the future is bright for everybody. And we've had HOD, and I'm also going to Premier Beted, Elred, or your headache. And Elred, akazi buy headache. Uzawuye kuba headache. Because Elred is supposed to support ono business by the Eastern Cape, so that the economy of the Eastern Cape grows. And also ECDC. There was a complaint also about ECDC, kula functions ivela kuyo. Ukuba abantu bafumana ithende bangamali capital. When they go and apply to ECDC, it takes more than 21 days thereafter council is returned. And that is not supposed to happen if we are a developmental government. And this is a developmental government. So it means also the employees of government need to be developmental in their thinking. It cannot only be the politicians that are developmental and the drivers are not developmental. So the technocrats, HOD and your team, you need to be developmental in your thinking. We need to take a very short time when we process the applications. And also nani bono business. When the department needs information from you, provide the information that is needed so that we can shorten the period you process the application. Last week, I was in Krisani. Kula Industrial Park, Sekoman. Because there's an SMME that has been supported by 2.9 million by the department from Elred. It happened when the carpet. So it's possible If that one can get it, it means it's also possible now to get those millions. And it's a grant. That person is not going to pay back that money, that 2.9 million. It's a grant. So to grow your business, you look for SIFA, you look for ELRAD, you look for all these instruments that are there that are provided by government to make sure that the previously disadvantaged do benefit from the economy and also become players in the economy. Mandingani libazis and the industrial parks. We are renovating the industrial parks, and people need to apply house in the industrial parks because we need to make sure that the economy of the province is growing. Nina ke bantu balapha, you are winners for taking a decision to establish a business. It's not a child's play. You are taking a huge risk because the business engine to go down and up again. Kolo beteta up, uti and one salary 65,000 rand. I don't want 65,000 rand. But because he had a dream, and Tututa to Mandela, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up. So you must be those winners and never give up on your dreams. It is possible. You can do it. There's nothing that is impossible. Everything is possible if you put your mind in that thing. So we wish you all the best. In your own businesses, our doors are open. Kuyakhalazwa pha eChoti ku-ECDC. My number is 071 543 8327. If you are not getting any joy from the department and the 7 entities of the department, 071 543 8327. Ndiyayihambisa because inumber ndinikwe ngurhulumente to service the people of the Eastern Cape. You can send even a WhatsApp. It's not my personal phone. It's the phone obanikwazi ufumaneka ebantwini. Ii-entities zethu ku-ECDC, kuKucha, ku-East London ICC, Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism Agency, Eastern Cape Liquor Board, Eastern Cape Gambling Board, and AIDC. So kuzo 7, if you do not get any joy, give me, drop for me WhatsApp. Ndizawuya kuThabo ndibaleka, ndizawuya ku-HOD ndibaleka. They are going to solve your problem because this government is there to solve problems. Thank you. And go back home and travel safely. Those who are going to the Western District or Western region, be careful of kudus. Those who are going to the eastern side, inkomo madoda niziyeke endleleni. Enkosi.
Thank you, MEC. Colleagues, as the MEC mentioned, please drive safely. Thank you very much for attending, and we will see you again soon. Thank you.